A wide-angle shot of a dense Louisiana bayou at dusk. The horizon glows with the last light of sunset, casting an orange-pink sky that fades into darkness. Mist rises slowly from the still, dark water. Tall trees draped with moss loom over the scene, their long shadows creeping across the ground. The air is thick with humidity, and the croaking of frogs and distant buzzing of insects fills the heavy atmosphere. Inside a rustic, dimly lit cabin, an elderly man sits at a small wooden table, surrounded by attentive grandchildren. A flickering candle on the table casts dancing shadows on the log cabin walls. The old man's face is lined with wisdom and stories, his smile warm yet mysterious. The children listen with wide eyes, while shadows from the firelight move gently across their faces, creating an eerie contrast to the cozy atmosphere. At the edge of Bayou La Fourche, a small campsite rests against the backdrop of tall, moss-covered trees. The sun is setting, casting long, ominous shadows over the dark, murky waters of the swamp. Papaw and Benny are seen setting up camp, the air thick with heat and humidity. In the background, the faint ripples of gators in the water and the distant cries of birds echo through the trees. The scene feels still, yet ominous. Inside the dark cabin at night, the moonlight filters through a cracked window, casting pale streaks of light onto the floor. The room is still, save for the soft rustle of bedsheets as Papaw slowly rises. His face is tense with confusion and concern. The air is thick, almost suffocating, as faint whispers and rustling noises are heard from outside. Shadows seem to shift in the corners of the room, creating a growing sense of unease. Papaw peers through the cabin window into the dark, foggy swamp. In the faint moonlight, a pale skeletal figure is crouched by the ground, its long limbs digging into the dirt. Its emaciated body is barely visible through the mist. The creature's bony form seems unnaturally still, save for its slow, deliberate movements as it rummages through the dirt. The eerie silence is only broken by the soft rustling, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. Papaw and Benny step out of the cabin into the humid, oppressive night air. Benny holds a flickering flashlight, the beam shaky as it cuts through the dense darkness. The trees around them stand tall and menacing, their shadows long and thick. The two men move cautiously, hearts racing, as they circle the cabin, their eyes scanning the swamp for any sign of the creature. The atmosphere is tense, with every sound seeming amplified in the still night. The flashlight beam lands on the creature, illuminating its horrifying form. The creature stands unnaturally tall at 7 feet, its limbs long and twisted, with torn lips revealing jagged teeth. Its skin is pale and stretched thin over visible bones, and its eyes, glowing with a bright, unnatural orangish yellow, reflect the light like those of a predator. The creature's hiss is low and deep, sending a shiver through the air as it stares down the two men. The creature suddenly drops to all fours, its limbs bending at unnatural angles, and it slinks quickly into the dark underbrush of the swamp. The dense trees and fog soon swallow it whole, leaving behind only the rustling of leaves and the soft hiss still lingering in the air. Papaw and Benny retreat, their faces pale, as they run back to the cabin, slamming the door behind them. The outside world grows silent, but the threat feels ever present. At dawn, the first rays of sunlight break through the trees, casting a golden glow over the eerie swamp. Fog still clings low to the ground, and the dark water reflects the dense trees like a mirror. Papaw and Benny hurriedly pack up their camp, the tension still evident in their movements. Their truck kicks up dust as it drives down a narrow dirt path, leaving the foreboding bayou behind. The stillness of the swamp remains ominous and unchanged. Back in the present, Papaw sits quietly in a worn-out chair, staring out into the distance as he tells his tale. The cabin around him is dimly lit, with shadows from the window falling across the floor. In the distance, just beyond the edge of the dark forest outside, something seems to shift, barely noticeable. The air grows heavier as the camera focuses on Papaw's solemn face, his eyes filled with both wisdom and unease.